this piece at the Washington Times by Kellen Howell. Oh, my gracious goodness, Mr. Producer. Here's the headline. EPA, FDA, that would be the Environmental Protection Agency, that's a joke, and the Federal Drug Administration stocking up on body armor during President Obama's watch. This isn't some malicious site. This is the Washington Times. Wait a minute. I thought we're all supposed to disarm. I thought we're supposed to let terrorists out of Guantanamo. I thought we're all supposed to, love and peace and pot and all the rest of it. Whoa, look at this. As the U.S. engages in a national debate over the militarization of the police, just listen to that phraseology. The militarization of the police. Federal data shows that government agencies charged with largely administrative roles are spending tens of millions of taxpayer dollars to purchase SWAT and military-style equipment. Since FY 2006, 44 traditionally administrative agencies I'm going to hold this till Monday. This deserves more attention. Yes, we disarm as the police state expands. What's that all about? What's that all about, Mr. Imperial President? Which was printed in the Washington Times a few days back. EPA, FDA stocking up on body armor during President Obama's watch. Hey, wouldn't it be the same way, Professor, if the EPA and the FDA would stop using body armor and disarm and demilitarize? Wouldn't that make us all safer? As the U.S. engages in a national debate over the militarization of the police, militarization, it isn't a national debate, but nonetheless. Federal data shows that government agencies charged with largely administrative roles are spending tens of millions of taxpayer dollars to purchase SWAT and military-style equipment. Well, what do you think of that, Professor? You weren't even asked about that. How come you weren't asked about it? Since FY 2006, 44 traditionally administrative agencies have spent over $71 million on items like body armor, riot helmets and shields, cannon launchers, and police firearms and ammunition, according to federal spending data from watchdog group OpenTheBooks.com. This comes in addition to the $330 million spent on such equipment in that period by traditional law enforcement agencies, FBI, Secret Service, DEA, and so forth. Here's some examples. Almost $2 million spent by the Department of Veterans Affairs on riot helmets. Yeah, because we know those vets, they're very likely to riot. They've all been known, particularly the World War II vets. So the VA, riot helmets, defender shields, body armor, a, quote, Milo return fire cannon system, unquote, armored mobile shields, Kevlar blankets, tactical gear, and equipment for crowd control. So the VA, which has a horrific record in treating the vets, that doesn't mean that some hospitals aren't great and some doctors aren't great, but as a general matter, it's quite obvious. $2 million spent on this stuff. Over $300,000 spent by the Food and Drug Administration on, quote, ballistic vests and carriers in fiscal 2014. The FDA. Over $200,000 on body armor spent by the Environmental Protection Agency during the Obama administration years versus just $30,000 in the previous fiscal years, 3 fiscal years. Well, we all know the greenies over there, the old reds at the EPA. They have to really armor up when they sit at their desks and write those. Here's one. More than $28,000 by the Smithsonian Institution on body armor for its zoo police and security officers in fiscal 2012. Spending $71.1 million on body armor outside of traditional law enforcement agencies raises troubling questions. Yes, and nobody to answer it. Living in D.C., one gets a sense of the growing police power of the federal government when you increasingly see official cars emblazoned with the fill-in-the-blank agency police service for obscure bureaucracies you've barely ever heard of, says Chris Edwards, a budget analyst at Cato. Now, for spending tens of millions of dollars on body armor and other protective gear for duplicative police forces, the VA, EPA, FDA, and 41 other administrative agencies won the Gold Hammer Award from the Washington Times. You know, we joke about this stuff, but we never really get to the bottom of it, do we? Why does the FDA need anything of this sort, or the Smithsonian Institution? Is something going on? That's not to say that we don't need a strong and robust federal law enforcement. We do. The FBI, the DEA, and so forth and so on. That's absolutely true. But you have these paper-pushing agencies, these social engineering agencies. I don't want them anywhere near a pistol, a BB gun. They're not to be trusted.